Hello, welcome to my STEM Capstone portfolio. This video series will act as a sum up of the problem-solving process showcased through my work in Capstone. In this video, we will be covering the implement step, where I will discuss how I develop my final product. My final problem statement reads as follows. Seniors and CCP students at STEM need a way to receive school information because I learned that our current communication methods fail to reach every student. If I create STEM Online, a web-based collection of the variety of information sources that the coaches at STEM use, then I can put all of these resources at one click and reach all of the students. In the implement step, I went through the process of creating my final product. I did this by first fine-tuning my idea to fall into the 5 E's model that I will explain momentarily, and then I went into 2 prototyping phase to get to my final finished product. There is a certain cycle of stages that users go through when using a product. This falls in the order of entice, enter, engage, exit, and extend. This cycle is universal in any well-functioning product. I kept these stages in mind when I developed my solution. The entice stage of user interaction is about how the user is made aware of the product and how it will solve their problem. This stage is one of the most important stages for my problem, as part of my problem statement is specifically about ideally getting my product in the hands of every STEM student. Now, I have a couple of ideas in place to entice my user. The first of which is to have STEM coaches make it public on all their Google Classroom pages. Students heavily rely on Classroom to view assignment drop boxes and announcements and such, so that will assure one place that everyone will be able to access it. My other idea was to mention and show it off to incoming freshmen during orientation events. Making it a part of a freshman's regular viewing habits in class will assure that they will use it as regularly as I think it should be used. The next stage is the enter stage. In this stage, it must be made clear on how the user will begin using the product after being enticed. This is easily the most self-explanatory stage in my product. All that has to be done here is that my user has to click on the link they see on their Google Classroom page or be told to go to the website by a coach. There's really not much else to this one for my product. Next comes the engage stage. This is the stage where the user is actively interacting with the product and discovering exactly what it does, how it does it, and how well it solves the user's problem. While the entice stage is one of the more important stages with my product, engage is right up there as well, as it is for most products. In order to engage my users with my product, I took special care to make the user interface super simple with nothing more than a scrolling list of buttons that take the user directly to the web page in which it's labeled. There are no hoops to jump through with things like drop-down boxes or tab menus to find the desired resource. Just one button click and they're right to the site they need to be at. The exit step is the exact point in which the user is finished using the product. This is the point where the user must have had their problem solved by the use of the product. This was another step that is made super clear with the nature of my product. The user is done using the website when it directs them from the resource page to the web page that they clicked on. When the user reaches their desired resource, it is evident that they are finished using the web page. The final stage to consider is the extend stage. At this point, the user is already finished using the product, but it is still important to make sure the product can be used again in case the user runs into the same problem. My product tackles this with the specific resources that it features. I handpicked each resource that I know nearly every student uses regularly. Some of the sites include Google apps like Classroom, Drive, and Gmail. There's school information pages like the official STEM website, the morning meeting presentations, and the Learner Handbook. There's distinct schedule buttons for the bell schedule and the live impact list. Everything on it is super valuable to every STEM student. With those user interaction stages in mind, I went on to start the prototyping phase. Through this process, I was able to gain feedback between iterations in order to make the product the best it could be. Most of my feedback came from APS board member Derek Hall. My first iteration was a low-tech prototype that was simply a collection of the resources I had collected up to that point. I made the list in a Google Doc and attached the exact link to where I wanted the user to land at. For example, the Google app links would direct the user directly to their account pages, skipping a login screen, so long as they had a Google account linked to their web browser. Upon showing this to Mr. Hall, he made me aware of the fact that I would need to figure out what will happen with the site after I graduate, but also spoke on how my choice of resources were good considering they are all updated without my input. With this thought though, I decided that I would give edit access to the Learner Council before I leave to ensure that it can be updated should a new resource need to be added. After getting feedback on my low-tech prototype, I proceeded to develop the final version of it. I considered using my experience with writing code to make a site using HTML and JavaScript, but I ultimately decided to just use Wix as my development platform. With this, all I had to do externally was make the icons for each of the buttons I would add from the resource list I compiled with my low-tech prototype. I had to make sure the icons were easily recognizable because the mobile site doesn't show the titles I gave for each of the buttons, just the icons themselves. I made sure to use just logos or anything with text to make it just as nice on mobile. I had Abdul help me with some suggestions on how I could improve my product. He thought it would be a really good idea to include on the site somewhere where users can suggest other resources to be added in the future to help keep it up to date and ensure the users are still happy with it. He also said it could be really cool for me to find a way to track exactly how many hits the site gets to assess whether it's being distributed well enough. Also, attaching a real domain name to it would be very effective for appearing in Google search results. I would love to incorporate all of these suggestions because they will make my product match even better with my problem statement. My final product has been completed in the implement step, and I have a direction to go to with making my product better as well. Thank you very much for watching.